Hi everyone, today I have another behind the scenes video where I want to show you how we create the game Intruder in Antiquonia. So I picked this very interesting scene, the town square, to show how we put together all the assets that we get from the various artists to get a full scene working. I started the editor that goes with my own engine from scratch, and so this is just the empty game. And I'm going to start loading all the things here to show you how it works. So first, I want to show you here in GIMP how all the layers work. So this is the very far background layer, and then on top of that we put the buildings and the petanque court, the fountain here on the left, the lamps. There's this very special lamp because the character has to walk at some point in front of it. These benches, also because the character can walk between the court and these benches. Then there's this right building. Again, the character can walk between the buildings, this building here on the back and this building on the front, so right here on this street. So that's why we need them in two separate layers. Same for the left building. Then we have these foreground bushes that will move slightly faster when there is a little bit of scroll, so it creates this nice parallax effect. And then there is this thing here on the corner, this roof that moves slightly faster than the bushes to give a bit more of a parallax effect. I already exported all of these layers into separate PNG files. I actually have them here. And each of these files, it's like the full image just with the thing. So for example, if I open the fountain, you will see it's just the full image, but just the fountain there. That's not a problem, the engine takes care of that. I'm going to open the engine and start dragging things, but first I'm going to rename this very first scene as town square. And now I'm going to start adding things. So first the background. Okay, there we go. And now I realize, oh, I forgot to resize the scene. I have to tell the engine how big this thing is supposed to be. So I check on GIMP, is 1850 by 720. So 1850 by 720, that's it. So I have scroll. So now I have to start adding all the remaining layers. So the background houses, there we go, the petanque court. Petanque is a very common Galician game. I'm not going to go into details of that. Put the benches as well, the foreground bushes. Okay, now the foreground buildings on the left and right. So this is the left one, now the right one. You see, when I drag these things, even though so that the image is the same size as the far background, but the engine automatically trims them so they don't waste too much memory. Now the roof from the foreground and the fountain. So now I am going to load Sarah, the protagonist. Same idea. So I will load first the animation when she's idle, not doing anything. Idle front, that's it. Okay. This is going to be a new object. Sarah. Target animation is going to be a new one. It's called idle, and the direction should be this one. You see, this is huge, of course, because she has to work in many different scenes. Some are big, some are small. I'm going to edit the animation, and first of all, I'm going to move this red marker here. This is her pivot. That means when she is in a particular coordinate, this red cross should be in that coordinate. And now I have to move her, of course, because she's too far. I would need to define a scale for this background, and of course, because you can see here that closer points are taller than far points, right? So the scale is not the same everywhere. And for that, I have this reference from the artists that tell me, okay, this is how tall she should be here, this is how tall she should be there. What I typically do is I load that here and adjust the scale, but right now I'm going to do it just quickly. I'm going to configure the point and click movement for her, use dynamic scale with 2 points. So now I can say, okay, here is the point where the scale should be the maximum, and this is the point, and this is the point where the scale should be the smallest. And now I just adjust. Close scale should be maybe 0.5, I'm not going to adjust it exactly. So what I will do now is move her to the very bottom, adjust the scale there, so that should be taller. So close scale now, maybe 25, yeah, that sounds about right. And now farther away, so let's say around there, and now I adjust that scale as well, and that, yeah, something like that. It's probably not correct, but it's about right. So now I would need to move to define where she can walk on this scene, right? So I would move these points so you could see where she can walk, and then of course I need to add more points in between. I'm going to do this, I was going to use the keyboard, but you wouldn't see what I'm doing, so I will choose the menus. Okay, something like that, and maybe also here another one. Okay, something like that. Now I would need to add some holes, so places where I don't want her to be able to walk, like on top of the fountain, for example, right? So for that I would add another contour, and for example, let's say I want to block the fountain, something like this, and now she's not able to walk on top of the fountain. And I will do the same for the court as well, because I don't want her to actually walk on the court. Oh, actually, now that I remember, I forgot to load the lampposts, and that was important because I wanted to show why I need a separate one, this special lamppost. Now I can start moving her around. You see, if I try to move here, it doesn't work. It will just pop from back to front, but things are not rendering in the correct order, right? So the first thing I will do is tell Sarah to have a dynamic set index. So this set index is actually the ordering layer. And what I'm telling now is I want the ordering layer to be based on the Y coordinate. So where on the vertical axis she is on the screen, and that means that her layer will change dynamically as she moves from back to front. So now what I would do is say, okay, all these lampposts should have a set index around here, so as soon as she goes here she renders behind them. So I use her as an example, so let's say 574. So now I go to the lampposts and I say your ordering layer is 574, and now when I move her, you see now she's behind, now she's on front, and all works. Okay, so for this one that's special, now I will tell you why. And the reason why is because as soon as she goes here, she renders behind all the lampposts. So as soon as she's here, she renders behind this lamppost, but also behind the one on the back. It doesn't matter because, well, I would block her from walking here, and then it doesn't matter, right? But here I cannot block her. And the reason is she needs to walk this way to talk to the old guys who are sitting in this bench. That's why this lamppost is special. What I would do for this lamppost is take this coordinate. So now she's in 513 and put it on the special lamppost 513, and that's it. You see, she goes behind this lamppost, no problem. She can go around it. And also this one, she can go around it. Not this one, because I don't need her to walk here, and I would add a hole so that she cannot walk there, right? In order to make her walk, I need her to have a walking animation. So right now I don't have any options for walking animations to pick from, so I need to add one. So I'm going to add the walking animation for Sarah. I just say, yes, Sarah is the right character, the animation is going to be walk. This is a walk cycle, this is important. By the way, I think the animation is going towards the left, the default one. Let it do the magic. There she is, walking. So now let me edit the animation, because I only have one direction and I need more. First, let me put the pivot here between the feet. And now I will add the symmetric direction, so now she can walk in both directions, and I will do the same for idle, otherwise she can only stop facing right. So I also want her to stop facing left, so yeah, the symmetric as well here, and there you go, she can stop both directions. So now if I play the game, you will see that she doesn't move, and that is because I forgot to configure the walking animation for the movement. I need to tell it which animation to use for movement. Walk is the right one. If you check the walking animation, when I open the editor, you see that there is movement because the background is dragging. That indicates that there is movement. And here you can see it moves 8 pixels per frame at this scale. Of course, at smaller scales, the speed changes. So now if I play this again, now she can walk around. She does the right thing with the lampposts, but not with the fountain. And that's because I didn't configure the layer ordering. So now I'm going to load the old man. No, I don't want to target Sarah. There is a new object, and the target animation is also new, and the direction is something like this. Doesn't matter, they don't have more directions. They're always facing the same direction. Let me change the pivot. It doesn't really matter for these guys where the pivot is because they don't move. I like to have the pivots close to the feet anyway. So now we'll put them approximately in place. Now I have the all guys. By the way, this is a looping animation. I think I didn't configure that. Yeah. And because I don't want it too repetitive, I will say I want the loop to pause randomly. So let's say between half a second, these are milliseconds by the way, between half a second and 1 second after each loop, make a pause. So it doesn't feel too repetitive, they pause every now and then, different amounts of time between each loop. And now what I want to show is what about Sarah describing things. So for that to work, I need to add another thing. I need to add these talking heads. I'm going to add heads to it. So first I want to add Sarah, and the default image for Sarah is going to be, Sarah neutral, and I will add another mood, which is surprised, and on this mood, Sarah surprised. So this is what would allow us to click on things and see the text when she talks. Then another thing that we'll do is show you how we can make Sarah talk when she looks at something. So for example, let's say I want her to say something when you click on this door. So I will add a interactive area. So I could do it like this and just put this box around, or if I want to have more precision on the clicking, I could create a custom shape and then I can adjust it much better. I can even add even more points if I want this, but I don't think there's a need for that. That should be good enough. So now I can say, alright, so what's the behavior of this door? So when you click on it, I want to say something. It should be said by Sarah, and here is the message that I want to be said. It's a door. And the context, this is just text that I would write for the translator so they know in what context this string is used. When you play this game and I click on the door, Sarah would say something. Yeah, another thing I want to show is what if you have a more complex behavior, right? Not just saying something. Like for example, if you click on the old guys, Sarah should walk towards them and then say something. So for that, I need a more complex behavior. So let's say I pick the old guys and then I add a click behavior. So now it's not enough to just use one of these predefined actions, right? I need something more complex. So I will run a script. I will create a new file in the logic directory. Let's say this is the square TS. TS is TypeScript, that's the language I use. And now I'm going to create a new function, click all guys, and I can say I'm going to add here more. Actually, I don't care about the old guys, I care about Sarah, and that's it. And so I'm going to tell Sarah to go to the old guys and then say something. But in order to do that, first I need to modify Sarah. In her movement controls, I need to say I want to add a point marker. So this is a place I can tell her to go towards. So I will put her here next to them and name these all guys. And now I can go to the code and say I want to do a sequence of things. So it's a sequence of Sarah.go to all guys, and Sarah, well, actually I need the talking object. Say Sarah, and she's going to say something. Hi there. This thing here just takes care of translation. So in English this would say hi there, but then in other languages it would say whatever it's in the correct language. Now, yeah, it looks okay. She goes there and she says, oh, she stops behind the bush. Okay, now what if I want to translate this, right? So I go here and I say my base language is English, and it's going to be called English in the UI. This readable name is the name that shows up in the UI when you pick up the language. And now I want to add another language. And this one is going to be ES for Spanish. Like I can edit the translations and I can say, okay, this hi there is going to be hola, it's a door. That's the Spanish version. English, it's like that in Spanish. And oh, the readable name, yeah, it's not language code 0, it's Spanish. So now if I edit the translations, I should, yeah, Spanish. Yeah. And just to give you a bit of closure with this thing, I'm going to add the walkable area for the Betancourt so that you see that she can walk towards the guys but not everywhere else. So the way I do this is I add another contour and I just make it fit on the court. But I need her to be able to walk towards here, right? So for that, and I don't want her to go through the bushes or anything. So for that, what I will do is between these two, this and this, I will add a new node. And then between these two, another one. And now with this, I do something like that and that should be enough. I'm going to this animation and I'm going to say, yeah, sorry, you're going to walk much faster than this. So rather than 80. She's going to sleep on the floor, but at least walk fast enough. So now if I play and I click on the old guys, okay, that is a little bit better. If I make Sarah walk here, she doesn't go further enough. Okay, let's fix this so you see what happens with this building. So now I could pick this other area, another point. So this one is going to go all the way here, this one here, and I need another one in the middle, so that she can walk behind the building a little bit. So now you will see what happens with this layer. For that to work correctly, I would need to take a sample of, so this coordinate here would be 521. So this is what I need to put here, which means now if I hit play and I walk there, she gets behind the building. But if I work here, she goes in front of the building. And the last thing I want to show is this parallax effect with the front bushes. For that, I just need to set a different scroll speed. Let's say 1.2. This should have something like that. So now if I hit play, you see that the bushes move faster than everything else, creating that feeling of depth. Thank you for watching until this point, and see you next week.